Welcome to Wellness Fixes the Pod, a by Maven media production, where we believe you deserve real education from real experts delivered in a way you can actually use. I'm Dr. Kelsy Vick, your board-certified orthopedic doctor of physical therapy, and this podcast was built for the girl who is done feeling overwhelmed and frustrated by conflicting health noise and is ready for something she can actually trust. Every week, we have honest, science-backed conversations about your health, your hormones, your brain, your body, and everything in between. No fluff, no fear-mongering, just the truth. Because understanding your body is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. A table full of experts built for the curious girl who wants the truth. So welcome. Your seat is waiting for you. Today, I want to talk about the thing that no one puts on the highlight reel. The breathing, the pregame ritual, the little nap, the quiet prayer, the boring looking stuff that is actually the reason some people fall apart under pressure and some people kick it into another gear. Breathwork is that one friend that can walk in, read the room, and tell everyone to calm down in 5 seconds flat. People who were told they were using a lucky golf ball sank noticeably more putts than people told it was just a regular golf ball. Exercise is a controlled dose of physical stress. Your heart rate spikes, stress hormones increase, and then your body recovers. A nap is the underrated it girl of the pressure world. And if it works for astronauts and pilots, it's good enough for your Monday. I visualize a lot of things going wrong. That way, when I'm in the moment, it doesn't shock me or scare me. I just know how to move through it. Last episode, we watched the whole world hold its breath as grown men took penalty kicks, with millions of people staring at them. Today, I want to talk about the thing that no one puts on the highlight reel. The breathing, the pregame ritual, the little nap, the quiet prayer, the boring looking stuff that is actually the reason some people fall apart under pressure and some people kick it into another gear. So welcome to our part 2 of this Performing Under Pressure mini-series, where we start to build your own pressure toolkit. Welcome back to Wellness Fixes the Pod. I'm your host, Dr. Kelsy Vick, a board-certified orthopedic doctor of physical therapy and a pelvic floor physical therapist. If you caught part 1 last week, you already know what happens in your brain and body when the stakes go up. Your amygdala hits the alarm, cortisol and adrenaline flood your system, your heart rate climbs, and your prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain in charge of execution and planning and working memory or muscle memory, gets a little hijacked. That is the what part of the equation. And this week we cover what to do about it. We're going to go through the real science on prayer, rituals and superstitions, exercise, naps, and all the things that a lot of people rely on when it comes to better preparing themselves for these high stakes moments. And I'm going to tell you exactly which ones are worth your time and how to use them. The first thing in your toolkit is the 30-second reset. And breathwork, meditation, both of those things can fall under this tool. Last week, we made the metaphor of what's happening in our brain during a high-pressure environment as a group chat amongst friends, where the amygdala is sending alarm signals, and the friend that usually helps to talk her off the ledge left their phone in another room. So in this situation, our nervous system is like a group chat that won't stop blowing up. Breathwork is that one friend that can walk in, read the room, and tell everyone to calm down in 5 seconds flat. And it's not that annoying sort of friend that says, calm down, and you don't listen to them. This is one where all the girls in the group chat actually listen. As a physical therapist, I use breathing a lot in my practice, especially as a women's health and pelvic floor physical therapist. Breathwork is one of the tools that I feel like we should have in our existing toolbox, just like being a functioning human. It helps with core work. It helps with regulating our nervous system. It helps lengthen certain muscles. It acts as like an internal mobility technique. There are so many ways I use breathwork in my practice. So breathwork is a great, I call it bang for our buck tool when it comes to mobility and movement, but it's also a great bang for our buck tool when it comes to performing under pressure. It is the only part of our stress response that we can actually grab the wheel and take control of. You can't just will your stress hormones down or your cortisol down. You can't just think about it and will it to come down. But breathing and breathwork, you can actually choose to do. It's in your control. You can change your breath, and that breath communicates directly with your nervous system. One of the standout techniques for performing under pressure is called the physiological sigh, or cyclic sighing. 2 short and quick inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long, slow exhale through the mouth. The extended exhale is what actually flips you towards that rest, digest, parasympathetic, calming part of your nervous system. And you can combine meditation and breathwork, but it's truly breathwork in that physiological sigh that has been shown to help calm your physiology, especially in a high stakes environment. Not necessarily the meditation alone. It's okay to combine both, but the research is behind the breathwork and actually gripping the steering wheel on that breathwork, not necessarily on the meditation. A 2023 study out of Stanford had 111 people do 5 minutes a day of one of several practices for an entire month. Cyclic sighing, so that double inhale followed by that long exhale through the mouth, beat mindfulness meditation for lowering stress, reducing resting breathing rate, and improving mood. We can think of that long exhale that increases activity in our parasympathetic nervous system as that sort of brake pedal, the reins on our nervous system. So your heart rate and arousal come down on purpose instead of by accident. So next time you feel the pressure start to spike, do 1 round of the physiological sigh. 2 sniffs in through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth. Repeat for about a minute. And if you want the mood benefits long term, do 5 minutes a day, not just in a crisis. So the second thing a lot of people have in their toolkit is what I call the lucky ball. This can be superstitions or certain rituals that people have to do. It can also be prayer. It's the Taylor Swift wears the same bracelet on tour energy. The athlete who always has to put their left sock on first. Your friend who will not go on a first date without listening to that specific playlist. Let's talk about if any of this is real or it's all in their heads. I feel like superstitions and rituals oftentimes get mocked, especially the crazy ones. The crazier, the better. We all love to hear them. But for performing under pressure, they can actually help. And it's not magic, it's actually psychology. The lucky charm, the pregame routine, the prayer that someone has to say, what they help do is to give the person using them a sense of control and a little hit of confidence right when their brains feel most out of control. Prayer specifically overlaps with contemplative and meditative practice for a lot of people. It slows you down, focuses your attention, and gives you a moment of steadiness before the storm. So the confidence boost for some people is real, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. So this is a tool, not necessarily a crutch that you can rely on for helping you perform better under pressure. There were a few experiments done in 2010 that showed people who were told they were using a lucky golf ball sank noticeably more putts than people told it was just a regular golf ball. 65% versus 48% in one of the studies. The mechanism behind it wasn't luck. It was self-efficacy. Your belief that you can actually pull this off. Activating a little bit of that superstition by calling it a lucky ball raised confidence, and that increase in confidence improved performance. Rituals seem to work by giving your brain a predictable sequence to hold on to, which can lower anxiety when everything else feels uncertain. So consider rituals a confidence primer rather than something that is guaranteed to give you results under pressure. So if you want to use this tool, try building yourself one pre-pressure ritual and use the same one every time. A specific song, a mantra, a prayer, a quick hand gesture. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. What matters is that it's consistent and makes you feel a little bit more in control to walk into that room or high pressure environment with more confidence. The third tool is exercise or movement. We can think of exercise like the friend who's already seen you cry, so nothing you throw at her will be a surprise. Regular training is basically allowing your body to be in this stressed environment in a safe way, so that when you experience real pressure, it feels a little bit more familiar. So there's 2 different benefits with exercise. There is the in-the-moment mood lift from a single workout, and there's the long-term game where exercise and exercising consistently changes how your whole stress system responds. I always think of that Legally Blonde quote, endorphins make people happy, and happy people just don't kill people. It's like she's exercising, she's releasing endorphins, and endorphins make people happy, and happy people just don't kill anyone. So I always think of that quote when something like this pops up. So zooming into acute exercise, or that one session of exercise and the benefits that come with it. A single exercise session can burn off some of that jittery energy and create mood benefits for hours afterwards. However, the bigger prize is stress inoculation. Exercise is a controlled dose of physical stress. Your heart rate spikes, stress hormones increase, and then your body recovers. Do that regularly, and your system gets more efficient at turning the stress response both on and, crucially, better at turning it off. This is how you play the exercise long game. Yes, you can cram in exercise or movement to burn off some of that jittery energy, but it's really that investment in the long game that is better going to help you perform under pressure in a lot of high stress environments. When you exercise, your body runs a smaller scale, controlled version of the stress cascade that we talked about in part 1. Over time, regular aerobic exercise is associated with a more regulated cortisol response and better recovery back to baseline, so that the same stressor produces a smaller, shorter spike. Exercise also supports that prefrontal cortex, the planning and decision part of your brain that pressure tends to hijack, which is part of why people who train regularly and exercise regularly often stay in control a little bit better when the stakes start to climb. You can think of every workout as a rehearsal that teaches your body pressure is survivable. So keep a consistent movement routine, exercise routine as your baseline pressure insurance, aiming for regular aerobic sessions throughout the week. And on a specifically stressful day, do not skip movement. A brisk 10, 20-minute walk before the big moment can genuinely settle you. The next tool is what I'm calling the NASA nap, and it consists of naps and recovery. A nap is the underrated it girl of the pressure world. Not glamorous, but quietly running the whole operation. And if it works for astronauts and pilots, it's good enough for your Monday. A short nap is one of the fastest ways to buy back the alertness and clear thinking that pressure and poor sleep drain out of you. The key word here is short, the power nap per se. Not a 2-hour nap that leaves you groggy and worse off than before. Timing matters. 10 to 20 minutes is that sweet spot, and earlier in the day so that it doesn't wreck your night's sleep. This can help in a variety of ways, but when you feel sleep deprived and when you haven't gotten very much sleep, your prefrontal cortex is already running on fumes. So pressure hits harder and judgment slips. A nap tops the tank back up. So why the NASA nap? There was a famous NASA research on pilots that was done in the 90s that found a planned rest averaging about 26 minutes improved performance by about 34% and alertness by about 54%. Short naps clear out some of the adenosine, the sleepy pressure chemical that builds up the longer you're awake, which restores alertness and reaction time, which is very important for pilots. Keeping it under about 20 minutes usually means you wake up before deep sleep. So you skip the groggy fog and get the sharpness without the hangover. So if you have a high pressure event and the option and capability of doing so, take a 10 to 20 minute nap earlier in the day to help fill up that tank. If you don't have time or a place to lie down, even resting with your eyes closed for a few minutes gives your overworked brain a small recovery. The last tool is one that I feel like a lot of you guys have probably heard about. I used to use it as a gymnast, but that is visualization. This shows the manifestation girlies were onto something. They just needed a little bit of a sports scientist in the group chat. Visualization is not woo-woo. Maybe a more appropriate term is mental rehearsal. When you vividly imagine doing something, your brain lights up some of the same circuits that are required to do that task. So you're quietly practicing without actually moving a muscle. So the reason it works in these high pressure situations is that you get to run the model and run possibly a scary moment in easy mode first. By the time the real thing happens, your brain has a version of it that ended well, so it feels more familiar and less threatening. The key with mental rehearsal is to make it very detailed and first person. Do not watch yourself from the stands, sit inside it. What do you see, hear, and feel walking in? And then visualize yourself handling it calmly, not just the end result of perfection. Walk through the process, visualize through the process. The other thing with mental rehearsal and visualization is to add the imperfections on purpose. Add the wobble on purpose. The pros don't only picture perfection. They picture something going a little wrong and then themselves recovering. So pressure day is not the first time they have seen a little hiccup. I believe I heard that Michael Phelps used to visualize a lot of different things going wrong whenever he got in the pool. He'd visualize his goggles falling off as one example, and I believe there was a very important race, and I can't remember if he ended up crushing a world record during that race, but his goggles fell off in the pool, and I don't think his time was affected too much, and he might have even gotten the world record during that race. And I believe a reporter had asked him, what happened? How did you do so well? He was like, I visualized it. I visualized a lot of things going wrong. That way, when I'm in the moment, it doesn't shock me or scare me. I just know how to move through it. So this is called motor imagery. Imagined action and real action share overlapping brain activity. Reviews of mental practice consistently found that imagery improves performance. Strongest when you already have some skill in the task and when the imagery is vivid and specific. It is a staple of Olympic and elite sport prep for exactly this reason. But to be completely honest with you, imagery sharpens and refines a skill you already have. It does not install one that you haven't built yet. So pair it with actual preparation. This comes back to our episode on Lucky Girl Syndrome that I'll link below for you guys if you missed it, but it talks about visualization and what some call manifestation with actual action and preparation. You have to visualize with action. So the night before or the hour before a high pressure event, spend 2 or 3 minutes running your mental movie. First person, full sensory detail, see yourself walk in, feel steady, handle one small hiccup, and then finish well. You're giving your brain a dress rehearsal, so the real deal feels like a rerun. So there's your pressure toolkit, and none of it requires you to be a completely different person. Here's what to actually do. 1, when the pressure spikes, name it. Reach out to your pressure people to bring them in with you on the journey. We covered both of those 2 things last week on our part 1 episode if you missed it. But the first action in your toolkit is a physiological sigh. 2 inhales through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth, repeated for 1 minute. 2, build 1 pre-pressure ritual or prayer that you say consistently before every high-pressure circumstance or event. It helps to prime your confidence. Number 3, keep a steady exercise habit so your body can treat stress like something that has been rehearsed and something that you have also shown your brain and body that you can recover from. Number 4, protect a short nap, 10 to 20 minutes. That's it. And number 5, run your mental movie beforehand. First person, super detailed, include a little hiccup that you successfully handle. In part 1, we talked about what pressure does to your brain and body. And in part 2, we learned how to handle it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, this little series. I need to dive into each of these components a little more. I love the research on visualization, on motor imagery. I'd also love to research how it pertains to skill-based, so like a penalty kick versus public speaking, something that's maybe a little bit less motor planning going on and just in a crowd speaking. So I might have to dive into that for another episode. If you enjoyed this episode and got something from it, send it to a friend, share it with a friend. As women, we definitely move more towards that connection, especially in times of stress. So maybe that friend that you send it to can be part of your pre-pressure group chat that hypes you up right before you're about to go do something that's a little bit scary. I'd also be forever grateful if you wouldn't mind rating and reviewing Wellness Fixes the Pod on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. That way this can get out to more people. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again on the next episode of Wellness Fixes the Pod.